Order. If you would, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And would you do a roll call, please?
Mayor Con.
Here.
Alderwoman Dobbs. Here. Alderman Becky.
Here.
Alderman Donovan.
Here.
Alderman Bennett.
Here.
Alderman Eidman. Alderman Rainey.
Here.
Alderman Prince.
Here.
Alderman Steiger.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. This time we'll move to approval of tonight's agenda.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. At this time, I believe we're going to officially swear in our new police chief, Daniel Hollett. Front and center.
Just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Daniel Hallett,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess all the qualifications
that do possess all the qualifications
prescribed
prescribed by law
for the office of police chief.
for the office of police chief,
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri
and the provisions of all laws of this state
and the provisions of all laws of this state
affecting cities of the fourth class
affecting the cities of the fourth class
and the ordinance of this city,
and the ordinance of this city,
and I will faithfully demean myself
and I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of police chief,
in the office of police chief,
for which I was commissioned on December 9th, 2024.
for which I was commissioned on December 9th, 2024.
Report.
Welcome, officially.
Thank you.
And then at this time, I do believe we have a presentation of a check. We have Helen Dorr from the Master Gardeners Club.
It's me,
Okay.
and Sharon Rath, who's our president.
Awesome, wonderful, welcome.
I need to do the summation on this.
So Helen and I are both with the Master Gardeners in St. Genevieve. The Master Gardeners in town, we manage the spring garden walk that some of you have probably attended in the past. And we also try to educate other gardeners. And one of our biggest projects that we spend the money that we make from the garden walk is our garden grants. Keep St. Genevieve beautiful. And we have been working with Happy and on the garden, we call it Sarah's Garden. It's the plot that's at Merchant and Main corner, right next to Sarah's. That's why we informally call it that. I guess we'll have to come up with a new name when she sells the place. But anyway, we have given, we have provided grants to the community of St. Genevieve for since 2010. And some of the projects that we have worked on have been the Main Street Garden. We gave them money when they were first starting for the plantings. The little gazebo that's behind the old brick, we provided money for them. Altogether, on various city projects, we have given a total of $6,400. A total for all the grants, we've given $17,000. With the money that we've given for Sarah's Garden this year, we have gone up to $20,000. So we think that we are very, we very much want to see the beautification of St. Genevieve. And glad that we can do this project with you.
Thank you very much.
That's not too often, probably, that you get money rather than people.
One more.
Thank you.
So this is to help pay for the concrete that we poured at Sarah's Garden or where the pergola is. Otherwise, we had concrete that had shifted and had root problems. They took the tree down and helped us pay for the concrete. We did some of the landscaping, just maintain it, so, yeah,
Wonderful.
good spot.
So we do have money to take down trees. It's not fun.
No, we didn't take down the tree, they did.
Oh, they took
Yeah.
down. You took down the tree.
Yeah,
Actually, the city took down the tree, we took the stone down.
that was it.
There was a split.
That was a large contract. that we
Are you
did.
planting trees at all?
We will be adding a conifer of some kind on that corner, but part of the problem is with the wisteria that's in there, you can't really put in a very tall upright tree because it climbs into it. And then there are so many power lines on that corner, you can't really add a taller tree. But we will be redoing with spring bulbs. That's what the next thing is. They're just waiting to go in the ground.
I think whatever happened, we had a group approach us quite a while back that was wanting to do a planting of some trees out on Progress Parkway.
Rotary. And we've
They're planning.
accomplished in that.
Oh, they were, okay.
I forget their
Japanese, Japanese.
They're ginkgos.
ginkgos, yeah,
Or
ginkgos,
something
yeah.
like that.
So, but they're not having very much success because those fields get sprayed with pesticides and insecticides and whatnot, and so and herbicides, and so we've lost a few. Each time we plant, we lose a few. So we're trying to balance the
I can't remember how many they planted, but
50 at least.
yeah, there's quite a few. Yeah, there's quite a few on that side. All right. Moving along through our agenda, we will move to the city administrator's report.
You have an updated report at your seats. I'll draw your attention to item 5. We had an audit issue come up during our annual audit. We had a breakdown of what the payments were supposed to be from, I guess, the original loan that was going to go out for the water tower on Progress Parkway. And I think initially that was supposed to be a 20-year loan. They reduced it to 10 years, but we hadn't had an updated amortization schedule given to us. So when we were doing the audit, the auditor came across that. The payment amount was way below where it was supposed to be, so it looked like the county had overpaid what they were supposed to for their half of the water tower, because it was split 50-50. After just meeting with the bank, and I thank Randy Rizika for making that connection and getting it together so we could go talk to the bank and clarify that issue. It's a 10-year loan. It's been, the payment amounts have been accurate that have been coming to us and we passed to the county. So they've been paying what they're supposed to be paying. We're at the right level that we're supposed to be. We will actually take payments over a little earlier than expected, but we'll figure out how to make that work. There's one more payment this year that they're responsible for that they'll do, and we're on schedule to have that paid off then in 5 years after that. But the amortization schedule we had, we should have been it paid down to around $878,000, and we were showing $498,000. It's like somebody is overpaid based on the $1 million loan that we got. So we're good, and so that's settled. Parkland Ready meets tomorrow. I'll be going over to that meeting, and I think Alderman Steiger is going to join me.
I'm gonna try.
And Carl Brown with greatrates.com. He's got some additional questions and issues that we need to get to him, like customer information, what the payments are and the amount of customers and that. So it's a breakdown that he's looking forward to put into his spreadsheets, hoping to have that buttoned up and ready for a presentation, probably late January into February. This will be in addition to the rates that we're changing tonight. According to what Carl has already seen, this is not going to affect what he thinks that much. So that was not good words that it was going to, negatively affect it. It will positively affect it, but it isn't going to make much of a dent from what he sees on the rates at this point. Any questions?
Happy on this water tower thing. How many years are we into that?
5.
It is 5 at the end. Okay.
Yep. And that was the break point. 5 years for the
Right.
county, 5 years for us.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. We'll move along to staff reports. And first up tonight, we'll have Police Chief Daniel Halleck. No reports?
I don't think you had a report to me.
Oh, okay. Well, we got a report.
I have a question on the report. Yeah. Please report. I watched over the last 6 months that K9 Ozzy never has any he never has any identifications of drugs. So I'm wondering, you think drugs are disappearing or is Ozzy losing his mojo?
So there's been a change because the dog now doesn't do marijuana. So it's just hard drugs, and at this point, I don't know.
Just taking any hard drugs.
He'll have a stat next month.
There's also been a change of handlers on that, so that
Right.
handler's been training with the dog, so it hasn't been in full service for several months. So our canine officer left to go.
We think Ozzy is ready to go though with right handed.
Yeah, it's been about a month since we've been able to make that change. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I saw the reports in the packet, so.
Everybody brought reporting,
I
we
got you.
have one meeting.
I got you, okay.
Only actually,
Perfect. Okay, any questions? Additional questions regarding the police report? Okay. With that, we will move on to Corey Litteris with Alliance Water.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, my report in front of you guys, but SCADA computer, it is up and working. We got the old one back, so we do have a backup in case this one would go down. Then the brooms on the sweeper have made a huge difference while sweeping. They only about 20% of the brooms were touching it before, and then we'll be doing a load of asphalt next week as well, doing some potholes and getting our water leaks buttoned up. The plant quits making asphalt next Thursday, will be their last day for the year. Any questions?
Corey, on
Yep.
one of these, you assisted the levee district on their grates down there at the entrance to the pump station. What do you guys are able to help the levee district with some of that effort?
Yeah, they had a bunch of debris in front and they got to pull them up instead of back up. Yes, sir. Yep.
Is that adequate enough? Or because we hear about the pump station and stuff not being pumps turned on fast enough and a bunch of debris down there and combination of things lead to the creeks around here backing up.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can do more so to alleviate some of that or on our end?
I called the levee district that day and they didn't need us to do anything on the 4th, but the 5th, they asked us to pull them. So yeah, I was in contact with Tom Okafoose down there.
Okay.
So as soon as they needed our help, we went down there and gave them a hand right away. Yep.
And I think I've talked to you about the Chadwell Lane, the gravel thing. You're going to continue on down to try to keep that from good.
We had to put a little bit bigger rock in there than that inch mines, but this was temporary because it was undermining that road a little bit. So yeah, that's just
I appreciate it for signs down through there too.
no problem.
That'll slow.
Okay.
what we were trying to.
I recognize you for efforts in getting colored light poles in the historic lights downtown. It really has added a little bit of glow to
All right. Thank you.
the streets.
I'll let the guys.
Any other questions for Corey?
Thanks.
Then in your packet, you do have reports from Chief Steiger, our tourism director, Aaron Smith, and community development, David Elvis. So if there's any questions on that, we can entertain them, but there are reports in there. At this time, we will move to public comment. Public comment out there?
Bob Brownie. I'd just like to thank everybody that helped me catch that dog that I've been trying to catch. If it wasn't for the public, I would be out there tonight trying to catch her again. But everybody helped me out, and I caught her Thanksgiving night.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank everybody. And one other thing, you all know who I wanted to be chief was Lieutenant Pollock. But the guy you got, I think you did right. Good choice. I met him yesterday, and he's a good guy. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Hey, Bob.
Any other public comment at this time? Okay. Move on. We'll look for approval of tonight's consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That public hearing. All right. And at this time, the St. Genevieve Board of Aldermen will hold a public hearing at which time citizens may be heard on the proposed water sewer rates to be set by the Board of Aldermen. We will open the public hearing at 6:17. So current water rates, where the minimum current water rate right now is set at $7.38. That will be increasing to, or proposed to increase to $7.53. And then operating and maintenance will be basically 6.268 cents. The current rate is 6.268 cents per cubic feet. The proposed increase is 2%, which would take it to 6.393 cents per cubic feet. And then sewer rates, current minimum is $8.83. The proposed increase there is to $9.01, with operating maintenance currently at $5.32 and a 2% increase to $5.43. Questions? Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, and then industries that have a contractual arrangement with the city to provide lime for the municipal water system water rates. Currently, that minimum is set at $6.61. The proposed increase tonight would be to $6.94. Operating maintenance going from 4.938 cents per cubic feet to 5.185 cents per cubic feet, which is a 5% increase.
Happy, this seems like a pretty minimal increase and stuff. I mean, with the increases, we've already seen, one with Alliance, the 2.9%, and any other increases that are we going to be able to bring our water emergency fund back up to a workable level, or?
I didn't feel comfortable trying to guess what that rate's gonna be, coming back from Carl Brown with the greatrates.com.
Right.
So I wanted to at least get what we have been doing, the minimum the last few years, get that going so that we're covering some of that ground. And then we'll see what that number needs to be when we get that
So
presentation.
they'll take all that into consideration. Right.
Yep.
He's gonna take in these new increases if these pass tonight?
Yeah.
You got two, is this public hearing or are we,
This is a public hearing.
Yes, we're looking for 2 readings so that we can put it on the next water bill.
for January?
Right, because we only have the 1 meeting this month.
Yeah, this part of it's primarily to allow anybody from the public to be.
That's what I was wondering.
We do want to have it later on the
Yeah,
agenda.
we do have the resolution out there. Bill,
I do have a question that we're gonna.
you want to wait until we bring it up?
It's up to you.
I mean, in my opinion, this is a time for people to present their input. And then later in the agenda, when you're considering the ordinances, is really more appropriate for the questions and comments of the board. Not that it's anything wrong to do it now, but this is really just to get the input from the public, if there is any, before you start that discussion. I don't know if there's anybody from the public who wants to talk on the subject. Doesn't seem like it, so probably close it here.
If there's no other discussion to be had at this time, we will go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:20. We do not have any old business to discuss tonight, so we'll move on to some new business. We're looking for an approval of a payment to Special Road District for $11,829.28 for the paving of Wilder Street to come out of the Transportation Fund as a future budget amendment. You should have some details there in your
I
package.
have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm waiting for it.
I know they've participated with us in the past on different paving things, Market Street, and this seems to be considerably less.
This is the same amount. It's actually 25,000 is what they contributed for this section to complete Creek Road and Wilder up to Biltmore. And they were already going to do that, so this is their 2024 allocation. So this doesn't take into account something they might do in 2025 when we do improvements. But since they were already doing that, and based on the estimate even from our engineer, this is a cost savings for us not having to worry about paving that street now.
So what's your recommendation to?
Recommendation is to pay it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next up, we will look for an approval of the low bid from McQueen for the purchase of fire hose for the fire department in the amount of $88,438.09 from the Rural Fire Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah. And next up, we're looking for an approval of McBride Homes as the proposed developer for the Progress Parkway 49 acres, directing the mayor and staff to engage the city attorney to begin the agreement negotiating process and allowing the expenditure of necessary funds for this purpose.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Mark, on this, have you already been in contact with them by chance?
No, I haven't had any contact with them. Maybe we can some direction.
Get your gloves on.
It's a complex, complex agreement, with a lot of moving parts. And it's going to take a little bit of time.
Do you want to throw an estimate out there, how fast you can get an agreement maybe potentially worked out?
No,
Time is of the essence.
I understand. I'm not saying I'm going to delay it, but
Yeah.
when you have a multi-million-dollar project, I'm going to give you, we haven't even started, so.
If anybody has any questions, these pictures and series are just guidelines
Correct.
of what they're going to do and stuff. This is not the exact layout or anything. We don't have any floor plans. These are just preliminary.
Yeah. And it's going to look very familiar to what I think most of the board was here for the meeting about a year ago. So it's going to look pretty familiar there. You also have catching up to do, Alderwoman Doug.
One thing I would suggest, if anybody has any extra time, I've been to Washington and Union. It's worth your time to drive up there to see. Washington, not so much, but Union is a lot similar to this, but they're nice looking developments.
And they also have 2 subdivisions in Jefferson County, which they have on that packet. That might be a little closer.
In this packet?
Yep.
Where are they in
It's on
Jefferson?
the last page.
Yeah, it kind of lists what they have out there.
Yep.
Bear Ridge, the Winding Bluffs and Bear Ridge are the two in Jefferson County would appear.
Winding Bluff.
Yeah.
What do we call ours?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I was going for Prime Time Estate.
Happy place.
Worse.
I just seized the moment.
Any questions regarding that? Okay. And lastly, there's been some talk, and I believe Alderman Steiger, I think one of this on the agenda, yes?
Which are we on?
Creation of an annexation committee.
Yes, Mayor, one time we had a progress and annexation committee formed. We did a lot of work, and we got several homeowners and property owners to verbally agree to annex in the city, some down along 61, some out towards like Ready Mix. So I'd like to maybe investigate going back to that and look at any of those that would like to come into the city and retain some of those city services that we can offer, and possibly look at with the adoption of the new comprehensive plan, how this committee might start moving towards some of those goals in the comprehensive plan.
Who was on the comprehensive plan?
There was the
Alderman Rainey.
mayor, Grimminger at the time, there was 2 aldermen, myself, and I forget who else it might have been, maybe John Stupi, I can't remember. And then we had a couple with at least 3. Pam, you helped quite a bit.
I can't remember who
I
it
know,
was.
but there was probably 3 other
Okay.
persons from the community at large, and maybe there might even been a 4th to make it 7.
Sure.
You know, so we had simple majorities on some of those. So there was, we had somebody probably from the chamber, and then some other interested parties.
So David Bova does have a committee that he's getting together quarterly, roughly,
Yes.
to go over the improvements
I
that were
can
in
see
the
a lot of
comprehensive.
crossover there.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be a lot of crossover with that committee.
So are we wanting to just combine forces with that current committee?
It's kind of an ad hoc. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's not. I
So
mean,
this needs to be separate is what you're
I
saying?
don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know what kind of.
David, you got any input on that?
I mean, the committee as it exists right now has aldermen, representatives from planning and zoning, heritage commission, parks, tax and tourism. So it is a well-rounded board. Chamber of Commerce will join us in January. If you wanted to use those members, you could appoint them or establish the same committee.
I just don't know what weight that committee has there. I think that's kind of a volunteer committee. It's not I don't know if the right word is an official city committee. And the question is then, would those members be willing to meet? Because we're only meeting maybe quarterly with that one,
That was
Dave
the
now.
plan, but
Yeah.
that could be adjusted. I gave them a full 3 months to take in the comprehensive plan, which is quite a lengthy document.
Well, unless you think that the committee needs to be more internal, just made up of aldermen and city staff.
No,
And then
I
bring
think
it to
that's,
the-
that committee is great. I just don't know if they would all volunteer to come in on a more regular basis. I think if we get something going, I don't want to meet every 3 months, you know? So I don't know if those members that he has now would be able to commit to that amount of time. So I don't want to volunteer them after they work, you know?
Sure.
And I also don't know what weight that committee has. It's just kind of a group that meets to kind of discuss things. I don't know if there's a difference between.
Well, that's why I wondered if the conversation needs to be more internal as opposed to external at that point. I don't know.
Joe, are you looking
Just
to
spitballing.
reach out for volunteer people to join the city limits, or are you looking to go out and establish
We had
boundaries?
several, I think we had 5, 6, 7 homeowners at the time, business owners. At the time, Rodney Melfelt, I don't think he was in yet. I think he has since that is annexed in, but Oki down there along 61, there's a couple of property owners along there that had already agreed to annex in. And then again, like I said, out towards Ready Mix, I forget what that MFA drive is called. Industrial. There was a couple back there that was potentially considering just friendly annexation into the city.
That's what
Start
you're
start
looking
there.
for,
You know,
is the friendly annexation.
yeah, well, I think it's anything, you know, we've adopted that comprehensive plan, and part of that includes growing the city limits. You know, so I don't know what this is. I don't have an intention in mind. I just want to see, we've adopted that comprehensive plan. They put a lot of effort into, a lot of people put a lot of effort in that. I don't want to sit there on the shelf collecting dust. So if we're not going to do something, then we need to probably have a committee. It's not something that the board can probably sit around and say, well, we need to ask this person if they want to annex in one at a time. It's probably a committee type decision. And so, but we also want to have one that's not just volunteers, that the committee would be a truly duly formed committee that could come back to the board and make recommendations.
How many people would you like to see on the committee?
Depends on how much input you want from the public.
Well, internally, from the Board of Aldermen, 2.
So I think 2. 2, 1 staff.
I'd be happy to serve.
Chair.
Sure.
Well, I'm asking.
It would also be a committee that I would love to have you on as well, Mayor.
No, I've planned on it, so I'd be happy to be on the committee. Is there anybody else from the Board of Aldermen that would like to serve on said committee? Okay. Alderman Donovan? Okay. So that's a start, and then,
Maybe meet and decide who to invite.
Sure.
I
And
guess,
again, I don't know the legality of how a committee is formed and how that's set up. Because we have some standing committees already, like planning and zoning, that's a commission.
So the commission, you either have boards and commissions.
Yeah.
Committees are just appointed ad hoc and when you need them.
But maybe discuss that too, because I don't know what we need to, that's outside my realm.
and set up a meeting here in the next few weeks and then go from there?
Sure.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Great. At this time, we will have a first reading of bill number 4651. This is an ordinance of the city of St. Genevieve, Missouri, amending municipal code chapter 715, user charge systems, specifically section 715.040, user charge rates, subsections A and B, by revising the water use charges.
Discussion.
Yes.
Do we, first question, that there was 3 different charges that were going to be raised, water, sewer, and contractual industries that, and so that one also had an increase. Happy off the top of your head, do you remember when the last time that 3rd service charge was raised?
It's always been 2%, all 3.
Okay.
This year we're raising it more.
That's a significant savings that that customer benefits from. I know also there's a contract with them for other services, but I'm just curious. I don't necessarily feel comfortable making 2 readings pass tonight on this because I don't know enough background on the fees that they pay for municipal water compared to the rest of the residents and business owners.
It's in front of me.
Well, I don't know the history of what they've paid in the past. I see that they have an increase this time too. It's a significant savings that if our proposed rate is 0.063, 1.064, and theirs is 0.052, I don't know what the difference is there, but it's probably 10 to 15% cheaper than what local residents and business owners are paying. Now, granted, they pay us, or we have a contract with them for line.
But isn't it discounted?
Yeah, good question. And I don't know, and I almost don't feel comfortable making. What's the necessity to have this still in effect for January? I know we're doing that rate study on top of that, so there's a lot of moving parts.
Right. I'm just trying to get ahead of the game because we're behind with the way our budget looks. So we're trying to get this going, and then you'll have another presentation as to what the rate increase should be, probably in January, February. That will bring it to the level that it needs to be. This is a stopgap.
Okay, I guess we explain it that way as a stop, yeah.
So when we have that study, I mean, we'll do this again,
Yes.
possibly?
Yeah.
These rates aren't locked for any set amount of time. Okay, I guess that could answer that question.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I read it. Yeah, I read it.
Question
Okay.
first. Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion for second reading.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
This will be a second reading of Bill number 4651. This is an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri, amending Municipal Code, Chapter 715, User Charge Systems, specifically Section 715.040, User Charge Rates, subsections A and B, by revising the water use charges.
Motion to approve?
Second. We have a motion and a second. Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderwoman Dobbs. Yes. Alderman Fahy.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Bennett.
Yes.
Alderman Rainey.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4651 now becomes ordinance 4573.
Thank you. That will take us to a first reading of Bill number 4652. This is an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri, amending Municipal Code, Chapter 715, User Charge Systems, specifically Section 715.140, Sewer Charges and Billing, subsection D, by revising the sewer use charges.
Question.
Yes.
Happy, could you put together, maybe for the next meeting, what we've had for rate increases for water and sewer over the last, well,
10 years?
Yeah.
2%.
2% every time? But how, every year at 2%?
Every year except, I think, one, probably in 20, we had a run of 5 years up until, I believe, 20, through 20, then 21. We started doing it individually every year because the board didn't want to approve a long-term number. And I think we missed one of the years. I think 21 we missed, and then we started again in 22. So it's either been 2% or 0.
My question is, why do we always have to have at least that much, and we're now behind? Is it because, costs are being driven up? Is it because the services of Alliance are going up? A combination, I know of all those, so I know the answer, but I think we need to have a review of that, how much we're spending and the benefit that we're getting for contracted services for water and sewer. As much as I appreciate the quality of the service that they give us, it's very costly. And so I don't know at what point we've got to decide. I mean, we spend a ton of money to have that outsourced to them. If we bring it back in-house, what does that do? It's an uncomfortable conversation. It's uncomfortable to think about, but I think we owe it to the citizens to talk about that with how we keep raising water and sewer rates every year, at least 2%. And we don't know what this rate study is going to come back and say. He's going to say in February, March, he's going to want another 5%, or I'm not. So I think we need to start, once we get that rate study back, I guess maybe that would kind of give us a better indication of what we're talking about.
But I think we also think because of COVID and inflation, we've seen those numbers jump significantly and we haven't kept up with that.
But I look at what other cities pay for water and sewer. I don't know if it's subsidized some other way, but if you go to Festus or Crystal City, they include trash service with their water and sewer, and it's like half the rates. Perryville, I know there's a lot of cities, and it's like half the cost of what our water and sewer are.
Are you sure about that?
I saw a water bill as of a year ago. I saw a guy from Crystal City's water bill. He's paying like $30-40. Single guy lives by himself. So, not a high, but
What's the minimum bill?
yeah, probably is a minimum bill.
Right.
And so I don't have the answers. I'm speculating. So I don't have details to.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move for a second reading.
It's so.
Do you need a second? I'll do that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for a second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey,
This will be a second reading of Bill number 4652. This is an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri, amending Municipal Code, Chapter 715, User Charge Systems, specifically Section 715.140, Sewer Charges and Billing, subsection D, by revising the sewer use charges.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderman Steiger,
yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Rainey.
Yes.
Alderman Bennett.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Fahy.
Yes.
Alderwoman Dobbs. Yes. 7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4652 now becomes ordinance 4574.
Thank you. This time we'll have a first reading of Bill number 4653. This is an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Play Power LT Farmington Incorporated for the purchase of playground equipment for Pierre Marquette Park.
Motion approved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move for a second reading.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for a second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey,
Be a second reading of Bill number 4653. This is an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Play Power LT Farmington Incorporated for the purchase of playground equipment for Pierre Marquette Park.
Move to approve. I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderman Bennett.
Yes.
Alderman Rainey.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Fahy.
Yes.
Alderwoman Dobbs. Yes. 7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4653 now becomes ordinance 4575.
Thank you very much. So that will conclude our business. Any other business to discuss at this time? Okay, if not, we will adjourn. Session to order. We'll look for approval of tonight's work session agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Just barely.
Any opposed? Okay, take us to work session item number 1. This is RFQ for Crestlawn Cemetery.
Budget to look at expanding the cemetery. We've got 150 some spaces still left, but it's best to look at it now to decide how much fill we're gonna need, the type of stormwater that needs to go in. So we wanted to put out for an RFQ to bring in an engineer to get us those drawings. I was asked to bring it to the board because of, just to make sure that there's no issue with what I have outlined in the last page that shows the drawing. That's the area that we own. That's part of Crestlawn. We haven't bought any other property. We haven't expanded it any towards Progress Parkway or towards Highway M.
So this particular area you're talking about, it's that low spot and does it run all the way out to M Road?
Nope, it's right where you see it. That little, where I've got it circled in the red.
Is
It's
it like a
all we
quarter
got.
acre or something?
Oh,
Yeah.
That whole swath is 3, that's probably more than that.
Yeah. There's not much.
But it doesn't go, we don't own it all towards, the church owns the majority of that empty field along M Road in Progress.
Correct.
So we have 150 left that are developed, and then this,
And then we expand into this area.
and this would be roughly how many grave sites could we accommodate with this new development if we fully developed it?
Don't know yet, that's why we're getting engineering. Because we'll have some piping that could be in the way, but if you figure we have, what, 20,
20
20 in a
each
row?
row. And there's like 6,
you're probably looking at another
at least
400.
10 rows.
400, roughly.
Yeah,
Plus we have 150.
yeah.
What, on average, do you know how many grave sites get used per year roughly? Could 10, 20, 30?
It's just varies.
Well, I know it varies, but I figured, you know,
Take COVID out of it, it's probably somewhat consistent.
same amount of people died.
so happy the area that you have circled, that is the extent of our property.
Yes. Yeah, that's the boundaries. The boundary on the south side. You can see that yellow line. And if you look out in the field, I think it's still there. It's covered in white PVC. You can see the corner of the lot.
He acts like he gives us color copies.
You didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
That's,
We email you colored copies.
We try to save money otherwise.
no, that's good. That's,
Well,
My bad.
I would hope this would be, not a very expensive, situation with an engineer because it's on a pretty good slope there. I don't imagine there's any other stormwater inlets or anything.
Yeah, there's a stormwater pipe that goes underneath that road, that goes along that section of the cemetery that's gonna have to be routed down towards the highway.
potentially where this.
But you're not
Yeah.
talking about going under M Road, you're just talking about getting it off our property.
There's a natural grade that takes it to the ditch that's out along Highway M. We just have to make sure we get a portion of that that goes under the road that we're gonna cover and then put grave sites in. We have to make sure we get that so it daylights so that we can get that water out towards, because that's what's coming in from all of the Catholic Church's property. It's
Right.
coming to that location.
It looks like the church is leasing some of our ground to crop. If you look at the.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah. Because we don't want to cut it.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Abby, do you need a voice vote or anything for this?
That's just, if there's gonna be a hangup with what we're doing.
No, but bigger discussion, and it's probably, we can't, tell the church what to do, but I'm just curious what they're gonna do with that property along M Road. I don't think we have any that trade or work. I don't know. I'm just trying to think long-term what would be good for the city. I don't think we want to expand the cemetery down to M Road. That would be a good use of frontage, but, Dave, do you know what that is zoned right there as far as what we put in the, long-term comprehensive plan?
I don't.
It's not, I don't know if that's still, it might be city limits.
It's either gonna be residential or commercial.
Yeah.
Any issues with submitting this RFQ to get the engineering started on that? I don't.
Yeah, other than we're gonna need a lot of dirt.
It's gonna need a lot of dirt.
Can we,
We're about ready to move a bunch of dirt over there too.
Yeah.
Bang.
might be a good place to put a bunch of it.
Couple hundred loads.
Okay, sounds like
Move forward.
move forward.
Okay.
Do we have a groundbreaking date for that? For the other project?
For the homes?
For the subdivision?
No, because I think Mark's gonna be tied up with their attorneys for a bit here, so it may just be after we work through that developer agreement, because there will be, I mean, there'll be a bunch of paperwork and stuff to sign.
So we have the agreement, we have to get a preliminary plan and a final plan for the subdivision. You get it through planning and zoning and the board of aldermen, so we still have a few stages to go through. Probably first off, it's gonna be a sketch plan. They did submit that with their last package. And if it stays the same, board can look at that and agree to that as preliminarily. That it's ready to go. There'll be a planned unit, we'll have to make that adjustment as well. So there's still things to go through, but potentially we could break ground this summer.
Spring would be better.
All right, we'll move on to work session agenda item number 2. This is regarding a part-time fire chief position.
So we budgeted for it. You have the job description in front of you. There's been discussion, or the question is, do we move forward with it? Until this past Thanksgiving, I hadn't heard anything of, interest to move forward. And we were hiring a police chief, so we had enough on our plate at that point with hiring and somebody in the office. So
With what we're putting forward to the voters in April, do you think this is a good step to take? When, depending on what the voters decide in April, this could go away anyways?
and then it just goes away. I don't know if it's,
But at the same time, we're gonna be expending money that we really don't have anyways. And then going and asking the taxpayers for additional funds, which I am in favor of. I've said for the past 10 or 12 years that the funding mechanism for the department needs to be fixed. And, the fire district is a great way to do that, or at least a great step in the right direction to do that. I just think this is putting the cart before the horse, and I just don't like the way it is going to look to the community that, we're creating a position and then we're going to turn around and ask them to up their taxes. And it's basically going to make it look like, well, we did something, now we can't afford it. We're going to them to ask for more money. I think, it was in last year's budget too. We didn't do anything on it. I'd like to wait and see what happens in April and then readdress it at that time. And if we have to do it, if that fails, which I hope it doesn't, then we can look at it at that time. But I think right now, it's just too soon.
If we go along that line with that premise, if it did fail, which I'm with you, Joe, I hope it does not. If it did fail, I think that makes it even more important to take action right now. It's budgeted for. I can't see anything compelling that tells me
But then
don't
we
go
also
forward.
have the impropriety that we're paying somebody to help pass a tax proposal, which we cannot do.
Correct.
Fire operations don't stop during a period where we're considering getting something on a ballot and having taxpayers vote on that measure. Fire operations are going on right now. And we're a little bit behind. We've allocated funds for this.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing anything compelling that tells me don't act on this tonight.
Joe, I respect your opinion, but I couldn't disagree with it anymore. We've got somebody doing the job now. We're not paying them for what they're doing. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. We beat this thing long enough. This needs to happen. In fact, I don't even know why we need to interview. If we've got somebody doing the job, he's assigned that position now. I think we just need to move forward, put him in the position and pay him for what he's doing. He's done enough for nothing. It's time we stop that.
I agree.
You agree?
I do.
Joe Steiger?
I'm leaning towards you, for sure. There was a couple of questions I had about the job description and how it's set up, but that's not, the actual step forward to put it out for hiring, I guess, I wonder about the impression that it gives, but also I know that it's a much more sophisticated, time-consuming job than it was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
I mean, we have a professional firefighter doing it now. I don't know how much better candidate we could get.
But are we required to put it out for proposal?
Oh, I think we have. I would say we have to.
Can you put creating a position as an opening?
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
You would or
I
would?
would recommend it. But
That's not to say that it has to go that route, but
right, but this job is a direct report. There is nothing in the ordinances that it is like the police chief has to go through the board. It would just be a hire internally. So, I mean, I can put myself, the mayor, and David Bogo, and we can do the interviews.
Well, that was my two questions. One, it doesn't have a residency requirement, and it was proposed in here as a direct report to you. So I don't know where that came about. I have questions about that, why we're doing it as a direct report. If we're gonna have a paid fire chief, why is it a direct report to you? And also, why is there no residency requirement?
I mean, there wasn't a residency from the previous job description that we had, so we pulled it into this.
If there's ever a resident, I mean, we talked about this multiple times with the police chief. If there's anybody that had, the fire and the police have to be on, and ambulance, all our emergency response. I just think that there should be at least county residency for this.
I would say if you listen, you might want to, you could shrink it down maybe the district and just cover that area. That puts it a little further out in the county, but it doesn't put you all the way to, adjacent to Farmington.
Well, that's in the step in the right direction. Right now, there is no residency requirement at all. I think there should at least be something in there. So I don't know what the board feels about on that, but I think there should be at least a little bit of residency requirement. Not that we'll probably would hire somebody from Farmington or Festus, because I think most people would be like, how well can they respond to things and do their job? And so those are two questions that I had about the position, where residency and being a direct report, why it's not similar to our police chief.
The police chief's a direct report to me.
But not the hiring process.
No, but that's established by ordinance, and this is not.
But why is
So
it?
it's a direct hire. It's just the way it was established at some point in time. And I think it was because it was a city marshal at one time. So then it had to go through the ordinance process, and the voters had to decide, and then it stayed in the ordinances. Whereas the fire chief was never an elected position. So it's just an internal hire.
Happy if you're going to do this interview process, what's your time frame? I mean, tomorrow?
I would probably
Monday.
advertise, it wouldn't go into the paper until next Wednesday. Then we would want to have it out there probably for 24 to 30 days. Middle of January, we'd get applications, resumes, cover letters, start interviewing. Middle of February, beginning of March.
We could probably speed that up a little bit. We're not gonna get a lot of candidates outside the county probably applying for this position. So to have it advertised that long, I think we could probably speed up that timeframe if we're really gonna do this.
I agree.
Well, but that's an outside estimate. I mean, if we get everything and in that time frame, I mean, you have to advertise it for so long. So again, if we don't get a ton of applicants, then that will speed up that process there.
We can advertise
No, we
it
have
for
to
14
advertise it
days.
at all. We don't even really have to advertise it at all. I think it's,
I mean, if you want me to hire the person that's the fire chief now, I mean, that's up to you all if you want to
In my opinion, is pretty
make that
apparent.
direction, but, you know, it's going to take a vote of this board to, so that I have that support.
You know, I just think it would be a detriment to the rest of our volunteers and stuff if we do anything but, you know, what we're doing now and just make it a proper position and stuff, but that's my opinion.
You can motion.
Pardon me?
You can motion for that.
I make a motion that we hire the
Not during the
existing
work session.
fire chief.
You can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're informally looking at what we want to do on this, so.
Can you repeat your motion one more time? I missed it.
I make a motion that we hire the existing fire chief as our part-time fire chief, effective.
So the motion is to direct the city administrator to proceed with hiring a part-time fire chief. Is that amendment okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
discussion, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to look at the reporting structure and the residency with this before we hire someone. And I also feel like it should at least be put out and advertised briefly. I think we know who probably, but I think for all fairness, I think it needs to be advertised for at least a brief period.
Joe, you wanted to mirror the police chief process closely, is the concern?
Yeah, I think they're comparable and I think they're of importance and I think there would be, I think they need to have some accountability to the voters and to the board. Not just to our city administrator, if we get a different city administrator and, you know, so I think they need to be accountable to the board and the mayor and not necessarily to the CA. And I think there needs to be a residency requirement.
Can I second Alderman Donovan's
Yes.
motion?
Okay. So I do have a motion and a second. I think given the discussion, I would like to do a roll call if we can, Pam.
Can you repeat the motion?
Maybe. A motion to proceed, direct Happy to proceed with hiring a part-time fire chief.
That sounds different than what Bob said.
Right, the current chief as the,
Okay, hire the current fire chief and to proceed, and Happy to proceed with it.
Direct the city administrator to proceed with hiring the current fire chief as a volunteer fire chief, as a part-time fire chief.
there you go, volunteer.
Okay. Everybody got a handle on the motion then?
And Alderman Prince,
I mean, my opinion is not directed towards our current chief at all. I just think the timing on this is horrible. I think it's a mistake to do it now, but I do see a need to do it. And if we didn't have that coming up in April and it was still a year or two out on that, then I would be all for it. So I just think the timing on this is horrible and I don't think it's a good idea to do it this time. So I'm a no.
Alderman Bennett,
I agree with both sides. I think it's going to be hard to, everybody knows perception is reality, and it's going to be hard to differentiate what time he's at the city working on the bond measure versus the time that he's not on the city's clock working on the bond measure. Again, I absolutely think it should go to the assistant chief or the volunteer chief now. when that time comes. But with Alderman Steiger, I think that we limit ourselves with seeing what's out there, what's potential, and maybe there are other people at the fire department that would be interested in that position. So I am on board as well at this time.
Alderman Rainey.
I actually agree with both of you. I think the timing is terrible and we're late to the table. I think we should have taken action on this already, so I'm going to vote yes.
Alderwoman Dobbs.
No.
Alderman Fahey.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
No.
4 noes, 3 yeses.
That's what I have it at.
So motion
Motion fails.
fails.
Now, what does that do to the initiative on the whole?
Nothing, just means we don't hire him right now. I don't want to speak for him.
Well, I mean, do we direct the city administrator to proceed with a hiring process?
I think at this point, yeah, it would be,
I would make a motion.
that would be a new motion, yeah.
Would make a motion that we add a residency of at least county. That
Or fire.
Okay.
Or fire district.
Or fire district, maybe St. John City Fire District. That the position is advertised.
How long? 2 weeks?
I think we can get into the details of that. I think we can
But
paint a
here we
broad
are
brush on
again
this.
with the timetable.
It's going to put us over the holidays, so
I mean, the timetable you already gave us, Happy, and I don't agree with the month of waiting for 2 weeks. I think is sufficient, but given what you said about the month, that still puts us right up to March. The election's going to be in April. Then they got to do a board of directors. That board of directors may have different plans for a chief, and it's up to them to decide all that then. And I don't see jumping through all the hoops now for something that's going to change, may change, hopefully change in April if that passes, which I hope it does. I mean, we're going through a motion here that is going to be moved come April, maybe, most likely, hopefully.
Maybe.
Well, hopefully. I mean, if we do our job and promote that, that tax district, then it will become moot. So it's a double-edged sword. We want one, but we also want the other. Well, the other is more important than this one. And we need to concentrate on the big picture, not the small picture.
I'm going to restate my motion, that the position has residency of the St. John City Fire District, but it's a mayor-appointed, board-approved position, and it's advertised for, before hired.
I would second that, but there's no current district for the city.
Well, there is. I mean, our fire tag districts.
Our boundaries.
Our boundaries, our fire boundaries, whatever you want to call that.
Sure.
The city plus the fire tag district. Or,
Given that change, I would second that motion.
Does everybody understand the motion there? Okay. So I believe we do have a motion and a second on that.
A little more discussion.
Yes.
Again, in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about 4 months, and we've been with a volunteer agency for 60+ years. I mean, is it that crucial to add a fire chief at this very point when the call volume has fluctuated? But it's not, I mean, they're not running 10 calls a day. I don't know that in the grand scheme of all of the things that we're looking at, that this 4 months is going to make or break the St. Genevieve Fire Department. They have a paid fire chief. When, I don't want to abuse Kenny. I think Kenny has done a great job, and I think he should be compensated, and maybe we could look at some creative way to do that to credit him for the work that he does. But in the grand scheme of things, like Joe said, there is a possibility that it's going to pass. If it doesn't pass, we're 4 months into a 60-year process anyways. It's not going to add, I don't feel like, that big a hardship to add another couple months before we decide on this until we know. Again, perception is reality, and I don't disagree with Joe Prince.
That's 2 meetings in a row now.
I know.
We can't have that.
But at the same token, if it does pass, there's going to be a lot of legwork that has to be done. It won't, that fire district won't take effect immediately.
Immediately.
It's
It's a
going to be
long
months and months,
process.
might be a year before that fire district gets up and running.
But would we have paid somebody to come in here and taken over the
think
alliance
it's
duties
fair.
of outsourcing that to knowing that we're losing a city department, to bring somebody in to pay them to facilitate that department leaving the city?
I don't think it's fair to the volunteers now to be in that transitional period and have to do all that extra work of non-firefighting duties, of doing administrative changeover, and I don't know what that entails.
But we're not asking them to do that. It's something that they're seeking out. So it's not a requirement that we've put on them,
It will be, if the voters vote to create that fire district.
which is an initiative that they initiated.
The fire district thing is coming, it's happening all over the place. It's not something that they initiated. The whole county is doing it.
But
But it's happening everywhere. It's nothing new. It's something that is taking the place of these municipal fire districts.
can we agree, though, that we have two disparate issues here, meaning we're talking about fire operations, firefighting operations. That's what the position was approved for. Nowhere in this whole deal was it approved to have a part-time chief to come in and be an administrative player to facilitate a new district. So, I think if we take that out of the loop tonight, we get some clarity on the issue. We're talking about firefighting operations.
I don't know how you supervise that or manage that to ensure that is what we're.
Well, I'll tell you how you hire the right person. That's number one, how you do it. Number two, you have faith in their boss. That's number two. Outside of that, I'd have to agree with you. I don't know if he's going to play solitaire all day or if he's going to put plans in place to train and buy new hoses and maintain a facility. I don't know. I have faith in him. I have faith in Happy.
I have faith in him also.
Sure. I didn't mean to say you did.
No, I know. But again, in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about 4 months. And that's.
Some of that's going to be eaten up by their interview and hiring process. If we go that route. So I just,
I'll also remind everybody, we have 4 months. That's a reflection on this board and not acting. So we budgeted for it. We all agreed, well, most of us agreed. We had a consensus agree that we need a budget for that, and then we sat. So it's not a reflection
Was
on
that in the 24 budget? Was that
Yes.
approved in the
Yeah.
24?
And it was actually reduced from 32,000 to 24.
Yeah, well, we reduced it from 24 hours to 18 hours
Right.
in this budget year.
I don't disagree with you, but in the grand scheme of things, if we budget money and don't spend it, I don't think any citizen is going to be mad at us for not spending money.
Agree with you.
But if spending that money betters the city or the department, then I get that as well. So, I know that this is going to be taken out of context, but, I support the fire department. I support Chief Steiger, and I think that they've done a great job. I don't know that they have the call volume to justify a full-time or part-time paid position at this point.
Just even in staffing has been how many hours they spent trying to find, and we're down, 4 or 5 out of 29?
Well, in firefighter or fire department operations, it's not all putting water on a fire. It's, you go over there on Wednesday night and see what they're doing to get ready for if your house catches fire and how efficient they will be when they show up to that fire because of all the things they do in that facility that have nothing to do with immediately putting water on a fire.
And we're talking about $8,000 for 4 months.
There's a motion on the floor.
There's a motion and a second. We want to do we'll go ahead and do a roll call on that as well.
Alderwoman Dobbs.
Can we hear the motion?
Yes, one more time.
And is there a time frame?
Yeah, can we replay that back on the TV, please?
Joe, maybe, can you read the?
I'll see if she.
No, go
restates
ahead.
it. I'll see.
You restated.
I move that we hire a part-time chief with a residency requirement of the St. Genevieve City and fire tag boundaries, that it's a mayor-appointed, board-approved position, and that it will be advertised for at least a short time. That's my motion.
Can you be a little more specific on the short time?
Reasonable.
And then Alderman Rainey seconded, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay, so, Alderwoman Dobbs?
Yes.
Alderman Fahy?
No.
Alderman Donovan?
No.
Alderman Bennett?
Yes.
Alderman Rainey?
Yes.
Alderman Prince?
That's a tough one again. I just don't like the timing of it. I'm gonna vote no.
Alderman Steiger?
Yes.
4 yes, 3 no, motion carries.
All right, we got some direction. Try to get to a decision ASAP. Alderman's glad he missed on that.
You're probably gonna, you might have,
Oh, that'd have been,
you might have.
that could have been interesting. All right.
Who's going to get, what do you have?
We will move to work session agenda item number 3, and this is in regards to the development of a vision and mission statement for the new website, right?
Right. Essentially, it's for the whole city.
Yeah, but to be featured on the
To be
website.
featured on the website.
Yes. There's a couple of ideas on the, I believe it's on the backside of your packet there. I think that's just a jumping off point there.
Look at them, come up with something else that you want to add to it, or what you think should be added to it. What is our mission? What is our vision to get that mission complete?
Has Aaron weighed in on this?
He's been busy with his,
What are we doing? Branding.
his branding, yeah.
Yeah.
He's-
Do they need to be cohesive, or is this a different sort of thing that
We
you're?
have a different mission than Turk.
Okay, sure.
Ours is to support and protect.
It's an opportunity for you to input.
Promote what activities we have. So,
Get them to spend their money.
so we'll figure out how to make it cohesively after we kind of narrow ours down. He narrows his down, which his branding should be here, I'd say by January. They're pretty close to at least coming up with the brand statements, and then they're gonna come up with the brand logo next.
Okay.
But we need to, we should have done this 5 years ago.
When is the website going to be finished? What's our timeline on this?
I'm estimating on that middle of January.
Okay, so do we need to have a decision on this by the first meeting in January then?
We'll have
So the January 9th meeting?
We'll have a work session. I'm not looking, I don't think this has to be
Right.
an adopted, something that's adopted. We just
No,
need
I
to
mean,
have a cohesive idea of what we can include on that.
There's no,
Everybody got marching orders as it pertains to that?
We're having our own discussion. What was your question?
So on the back of your work session packet, there's a couple, an example of a mission and a vision statement. These are for the new website. They're going to be displayed. I mean, it's for the city, but to be displayed on the website. We're just trying to, not the tourism website, just the city.
It's a
website.
city website. It's
So,
our brand.
so different lens you're looking at it through.
What do we
It's
provide?
awfully bland to me, but
These are just,
we're not trying to wow anybody with our city services.
Just run it through Chat GPT and let it know. Good.
Okay, that's what we're avoiding.
If anybody has thoughts, ideas on that, send them to Happy
Yep.
at all hours of the day and night.
That does work, by the way.
It can.
Yep.
All right. Any other discussion at this time? Well, there's a lot of discussion tonight. I thank Alderman Idman for not being here, so there was consensus. I didn't have to break a tie.
go ahead.
But just personally, I want to thank you all for all the hard work that you guys put in on a yearly basis. We've accomplished a lot, I think, this year. Look forward to a really exciting 2025. But since we won't have any meetings for the end of the year, wish you all happy holidays, happy new year. Look forward to a big 2025. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
We're adjourned.